This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the single best gaming news media article I have ever seen. This is the zenith, the peak of the mountain right here, lads. Why? Because it's short. God, it's short. Holy hell. It quickly frames the scene, then it gets to its point, makes it, it's not a very good point, but still, it makes its point, and then skedaddles. Oh my God, thank you. So many times when I sit down to actually read through one of these argumentative articles, it is just page after page after page of poorly thought out pontification that most of the time does as good a job of debunking itself as I could do. Man, this brevity is the soul of wit. I was told that once by a fat person who has a dress now, but details. Okay, right, article, let's get to it. Dragon Age, the Veil Guard had the necessity of games journalism. Oh, okay, so this is a bit of an interesting topic, isn't it? Because a lot of people are making the argument that games journalism is not only obsolete, it is an active impediment to gaming. I would be one of those people. Dragon Age the Veil Guard has been another example of exactly why players need games journalism more than they know. Alrighty then, we're going back to the trenches with this one, so it's no secret Dragon Age Veilguard is the latest DEI game, correct, to be subject to criticism with zero bearing on the actual game itself. I don't know about that, I played it, I streamed it, it's a very bad video game. It's not even that it's woke, it's just that it is poorly paced, poorly constructed, extraordinarily poorly written, and has nothing to do with Dragon Age. Because I'm tired and already exhausted myself talking about diversity in games. Hold on, let me guess here. Diversity, exhaustion, gaming, and you. I suppose it's time to talk about the diversity demon in gaming. Welcome. 2024, October. We've been here for the last 10 years, but hey, your contribution is appreciated, I'm sure. Anywho, I'll keep this one mercifully brief. Thank you. Now, the irony of me saying this from a gaming vertical isn't lost on me. Even if I'm the wrong messenger, I can only hope the message itself is meaningful enough. Let's imagine a world without video game outlets, no IGN, no Kotaku, no Polygon, they all just poof overnight. Well, excuse me for a moment whilst I cream my pants. You know what that leaves you with to gauge how good a game is? Me? 10,000 YouTubers? 500 video game streams? That's what you're left with, but let's not interrupt the man too much. He's being kind to us by keeping this short, so let's let him finish the point. Censoring on Metacritic has gotten completely out of hand. Not a smart move if you want to stay relevant, aka in business, cause this whole NWO Great Reset woke psyop has failed. Narratives crumbling and everybody's not bailing out in time will go down with it. This, in case you couldn't tell, is a user review from Metacritic. I want you to really read that review. Let it nestle with your brain for a second. Now, what did you meaningfully glean from that? What information in that excerpt will help you decide whether Veilguard is worth your time? That the game has characters of different ethnicities, and that's bad? Well, it doesn't even really tell me that. It doesn't even mention that Dragon Age the Veilguard has different ethnicity characters in it, because this, of course, is not a review. See, his argument here is, honestly, kind of partially a decent one as well. That the quality of information is being degraded because there are too many cooks in the kitchen, and a lot of those cooks are not interested in, well, writing about video games. That includes the gaming media, by the way. See, that is one of the premier complaints that people have about mainstream gaming media, that as much as anything else these days, you don't actually cover games, but rather your own political opinions. This is what started the entirety of Gamergate, when we were looking at you and thinking, wait, you're giving preferential treatment to people you're fucking? Is that ethical? I don't think so. Like, we're trusting you with providing us the information we need to make informed purchasing decisions, and you seem to not be doing so. That was our primary contention early on, before we learned about everything else. But this, of course, again, this is not a review. This is doing what the gaming media does in this very article, indeed. This article exists because it is complaining about a perceived problem, only tangentially related to video games. This is the same. Metacritic UC recently instituted new rules because Dragon Age the Veilguard was getting review bombed, and it felt, therefore, that it needed to remove a bunch of the reviews because they weren't topical. Who decides what is and isn't topical? Metacritic, of course. Steam is doing this as well. Now, again, I've argued the point of the review bomb on many different occasions. It is a consumer tool. The consumers are not happy with something it is that you have done. In this case, it is the politicized nature of Dragon Age Veilguard, which is absolutely a current year politics game. Everything from the they-thems to the storytellings to indeed the enforced diversity, and the fact that the entire game plays like one enormous hug box, where you are simply not allowed to be aggressive, dangerous, angry, or in any way upsetting whatsoever. It is Barbie's Adventures. Hell, My Little Pony has more provocative storytelling than Dragon Age Veilguard does, okay? That's the point he's making here, because he's not reviewing the game, he's complaining about the wider problems, as are you, of course. Anyways, to continue on, this brand of criticism extends to YouTube, where content creators aren't bound to any kind of journalistic integrity. Let's be fair here, neither are you. Sure, a few YouTubers provide thoughtful feedback on the strengths and weaknesses of a game. I streamed the damn thing for 8 hours or something? But some of them couldn't care less about worthwhile, relevant, informed discourse. Hey, that's true, some YouTubers don't. Just like a lot of gaming media don't. This is very much so a double-edged sword here, sir. They don't have to talk about the gameplay, visual characters, story, pace, mechanics, or any of the other nuances one looks for in traditional reviews of a game. Heavy quotation marks. Instead, they turn on their camera and say games sucks because it had pronouns in it, or it features too much diversity, or ruined a franchise. I mean, look at Veilguard. By introducing any other sexual orientation that isn't straight, or gender identity that isn't man or woman. That isn't a conversation, a point to it all, just noise. Oh, we attempted to have the conversation. Now again, here's the thing. You got on board in 2024, okay? We started having this conversation in 2014 and earlier. Well, indeed, many of these YouTubers you lambast were attempting to have this discourse. They were attempting to reach out. It was the age of the attempt to debate the opposition, to have a conversation. You blocked, censored, and banned us from any platform you could get a hold of, so we figured that, okay, well, if that's the way the game is played, that's the way the game is played. And so now, instead of attempting to talk to you, gaming media, we're attempting to talk to literally everybody else. Which is what I and so many others are doing. This isn't a conversation that you haven't had or haven't had the opportunity to have. It is one the gaming media rejected and is now paying the price for it because it thought its position was unassailable. And finally, get me out of here. It's funny though, Dragon Age the Veilguard is getting lambasted for its inclusive elements because it apparently isn't a 10 out of 10 experience. Meanwhile, I don't recall Baldur's Gate 3 getting a whole lot of flack for, oh wait, never mind, I guess I had a momentary mental lapse. But traditionally, people will excuse all that gross diversity if the quality is high enough. But true to form, the bar is only cleared once perfection is agreed upon. No real world parallels here at all. So, of course, Baldur's Gate did get a lot of stick. The bear sex scene, anybody? This received widespread attention across the internet because it was most assuredly so a sign of some heavy-duty degeneracy. And Baldur's Gate 3 does have some of that in it, but it is completely overshadowed by the general quality of the game. Up until Act 3, that is. One of the premier complaints levied against Baldur's Gate 3 tends to be that Act 1 is amazing. One of the best RPG experiences out there, particularly in terms of classical RPG. Act 2 is good, but you're beginning to see a couple of little in flaws and imperfections there, and then arrives Act 3, and suddenly you're beginning to wonder, was the same crew making this game anymore? Have they switched out everyone who worked on the game? Bugs increase drastically, storytelling quality falls, the interest of the characters fall, the writing plummet, and suddenly there's a lot of weirdly colourful hairdos about. To the point where there was even a mod on Nexus that fixed their hairdos, added in less pinks and purples and cyans, and more regular browns and blondes, etc. This mod, incidentally, was deleted of Nexus mods because, just trying to have the conversation, bruh, didn't really work for us. It got deleted because it was apparently against diversity. Diversity of hair color, in this case. Because the objection here is not merely to there being diversity in gaming. And hey, if you look back at the history of this, that happened before you apparently arrived, there's a long history of this. It has been exhaustively documented again and again in dozens, hundreds, thousands of YouTube videos. There is a demonstrable political influence in these games, real-world politics that are enforcing these changes upon our games and changing them from what we loved to something we really don't like particularly very much. I think I'm going to make this another one of my quotes here, but these external forces moved into gaming and they pushed the diversity angle so hard that they began to include everybody but the people playing the video games. They included so hard they excluded the audience. And it turned out that the audience, just regular people, regardless of sexuality, skin color, or anything else, were the crushing majority. Who'd have thunk it? And that's why we're here right now, and why gaming journalism is not necessary. You have, amusingly enough, created a competing ecosystem. If it weren't for gaming journalism going insane, displaying its blatant lack of ethical standards, displaying its open and obvious favoring of extreme political positions, you would have maintained this absolute domination in the market. We trusted you. Gaming media had the complete trust of the gaming populace, and gamers are very quick to forgive and very slow to anger. It usually takes years of active abuse to upset us to the point where we will actually abandon you, but a decade later, that is what you have achieved. You weren't made irrelevant because of what you appear to think are simply screeching YouTubers. You made yourself irrelevant by pushing away your own audience. It's a tale as old as time, I do suppose, and one that a lot of YouTubers are familiar with as well. But now that you have done it, there's not really a whole lot of an easy way back from this. But you might start with producing, I don't know, video game content again, instead of, well, this. Just a thought. Anywho, until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.